Coach, Mina here from the Advocate. On those 12 games, I mean, all these schedules coming out from across the leagues, some going with 10 games or 12. What within your conversations within your league made it comfortable for y'all to go with 12 games over 10 or committing to a full schedule for the season?
Well, there was no medical reason not to play 12. And our medical advisory committee said there was no medical reason not to start on time. So for us, it became a matter of status quo. Now, we've obviously lost 2 games at Northwestern and at Mississippi State. We have a coordinated announcement at 2 o'clock today where we will announce both of those games have been filled. So we're back at 12. So if we do play, we will have a full schedule of 12.
Coach Frick. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, just Willie, how you mentioned it's kind of business as usual, but how different is it having to deal with the restrictions that you have with and trying to do a bit of social distancing while you and then do a regular practice at the same time?
Sometimes I think I'm the head coach of mask wearing here at Tulane. I've been after the guys. They've done a super job. We tested, I think our squad, we're nearing 2,000 tests with players, managers, trainers, coaches, everybody, and we've done unbelievably well. And that's a credit to the athletic department and the culture we have within our football program. But we just got to stay after it every day. The guys understand that. They're excited about the opportunity to play ball, and this is what we got to do to play ball. So it's been different with you guys know how I am. I get up there in the middle of the guys and like to hug them and put my arm around them and all those kind of things. And, I'm not able to do that right now, but that's just part of adapting and improvising in these strange times.
Yeah, I want to pick up on that just a little bit on the testing part. To Willie's point, as a department since June 13th, we've run 2,661 tests. 1,080 of those are football student athletes. We've had 5 positives of the 1,080 in football. 2 of those positives were upon arrival. 3 of those positives were in one house right after arrival. No one's in quarantine right now. Of those 2,661, we've had 11 total positives. That includes athletes from 6 different sports. It includes all of our staff, our graduate assistants, everybody that comes in contact with our student athletes that's been tested. We've been testing twice a week through the summer. Even though the NCAA protocols are going to call for once a week testing in season, we will continue to test twice a week. And to Willie's point, testing doesn't prevent the virus from getting into your program. Testing, though, would prevent the spread, so we could catch it early and get people quarantined if necessary. I want to give great credit to the student athletes in particular for not doing things outside of the bubble, if you will, of athletics that would allow the virus to be introduced. One of the things that was shared with us as athletic directors and presidents in the AAC yesterday by our medical advisory committee was that in almost every case of a positive occurrence, positive test in our league this summer, it did not come from the training room. It did not come from the weight room. As contact tracing showed, it did not even come from anything on the field or any activities. It came from things, bars and beaches, being at places where we know the virus was more prevalent. So our student athletes have done a great job of being in the right place and taking care of themselves. And so they deserve a lot of credit, but our numbers, I consider them to be remarkable. And also, I think we may be the only school in the country, other than the military academies, that are testing at the level that we're testing. So I also want to give credit to the university for allowing us the resources to do this, because it is not an inexpensive proposition. But to Willie's point, if you want to create a safe environment for your student athletes, staff, coaches, this is what you need to do. And if you want to play football, this is what you need to do.
Coach Fresh, what have been the biggest, this is Rod at the time speaking, what have been the biggest just challenges in all this for you as a coach?
Oh, I just think, it was really different. I think our last day was it March 16th, Troy? Was that, didn't we kind of shut everything down?
March 13th, Friday the 13th.
We came in as coaches and we worked, I believe the next week. We met with the kids that following Monday, I think that was, maybe the 16th. And then we sent them home, a couple days later. And we had the Zoom meetings. At first, I was very worried about that. There'd be a big time disconnect between myself, the coaches, and the student athlete.
Hey, Troy, this is Garland. Did the Tulane community and the football team understand the significance of y'all being the first team to play in New Orleans during the pandemic against Southeastern on September 3rd?
I don't think we've thought about being the first to play. I think we've more thought about finally the department is off its back and we have an opportunity to play. We look at this as a university. Everybody's peers that got shut down in the spring. It's finally a chance to get back to normal. And we're all making a lot of assumptions that we're going to play. We're all, I'll qualify every statement I make if we play, because I think the jury's still out. But there's a hope and a desire, and not just from the football team, but from everybody in the department, from all the student athletes, to get back to some degree of normalcy. And so I don't think anybody's grasped any significance of it coming back to the city. But I think we do understand the significance of college football, if it is able to be played, the significance of it coming back nationally. Because I think the one thing we've learned in the last month, any bit of news became, fodder for everybody. The attention that's focused on college football because of its role in our society. It's a big honking deal.
Is there any talk of fans possibly being a yeoman for this game, or is that with us still in phase 2, that looks kind of like a long shot?
I do not anticipate fans at any games this year right now at home. Now, what the plan is to announce 10 days in front of every home game whether we will and to what degree we will be allowed to have fans. And again, that is tied directly into the city's restrictions. Right now, I think the number is 50. And as we've shared publicly, the first people to get in, if we're allowed to have people that get in, are player families and friends. They're each allowed a certain number of tickets for the game. Those are the first people to get in. The second people to get in are students. We've social distanced our stadium, and even at max capacity from a social distancing standpoint, even after if you consider the player pass from the visiting fans or visiting players and from ours and some students, it's unlikely at any point in time, even a best case scenario, we'll see more than 3,000 fans in the stadium this year. But right now, I would not bet on having fans at any point this fall. I've also told the volleyball team, do not anticipate having fans for indoor sports this fall. And I've talked to Coach Hunter about not having fans for indoor sports this fall. And that's based on the knowledge that we have at the current time, and that could evolve. But that's the way it seems right now.
Roy, have you put a pencil to what that might cost you going forward, just in football tickets, concessions, advertising, anything else? Have you guys put a pencil to that, about what that might cost you?
I put a pencil to it every day, and then I change the color of the pencil the next day, and it looks exactly the same. But, I've said this about football. Football is the boat that drives the economic engine of every athletic department. Some boats are bigger than others. But if the boat sinks, the boat sinks. Football doesn't happen. Everybody's economic engine inside of it, their athletic department, sinks. So, I would tell you I'm planning 2 parallel tracks right now. The first track is we're going to play. We're going to play our sports. There may be limited fans, and we'll account for that, but life will go on, and we'll get better from day one, and we'll improve. The second track is basically a shutdown track. What does it look like if Friday, March 13th, reasserts itself at some point in time this fall, whether before the season starts or after? And so we're also making plans for that to happen, just in case. So It's complicated, Ed. No matter what happens, this year is going to test all of us from a budgetary standpoint. It's testing the integrity of the collegiate athletics financial model. We've already seen that. And if people didn't know that the athletics model from a financial standpoint was tenuous, I think that's been exposed fully for everyone to see. We're already starting to plan for what are we going to do different in the future, because we have to do things different in the future. The sustainability of what we do has been exposed, and it will not last any longer.
Hey, Willie, can I get an on-the-field question? How is Keon looking? I know it's only 2 practices, but I know a lot of people have eyeballs on your quarterback since Justin had the reins the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He's a gym rat, a field rat, whatever you want to call him. He's been around all the time. He's been around all summer. I think he really has a great handle on what we're doing offensively. So I'm excited about his progress. Michael Pratt is competing with him for that first team job. Michael had the advantage of being here for spring football. Even though we got only 5 practices in, that's big, because you also got to take excited to get going.
Tom, I got a question. Hello?
Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, sorry I came in late, but this is for Troy Dannen. I'm just curious about, assuming you're playing, like you said, you hope to play, will the schedule stay as is? All those dates, will they stay the same?
Yeah, assuming we play, the 10 games that we had remaining after the Autonomy 5 canceled a couple of those, same dates, same schedule. Now, I say that with a little bit of a caveat. I think ESPN is in the process of moving a couple of games, maybe from Saturday to Friday or those type of things. We have added 2 non-conference games to replace the 2 we lost, and those will be announced. I hope to announce this morning, but we'll announce those in conjunction with the opposing schools at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
So in other words, the conference games will stay as is unless ESPN switches those games? Exactly,
as is, unless ESPN or for some television reason moves them.
Hey, Troy, this is Garland. Are you happy with how your testing is going, and will it continue during the season? I know you've done a lot of it this offseason.
Well, I think I should be thrilled with it. The test rate's been, the positive rate of 1% or a little less is remarkable. The fact that we have an ed spread within the program, and I think testing's been a part of that. We are going to continue to test at this rate. We're testing staff. Basically anyone who comes in contact with student athletes on a daily basis is tested twice a week. The rest of the staff is tested once a week. Student athletes will be tested twice a week. The plan right now is whether they're in season or they're not in season twice a week, because they all use the weight room, they all use the training room. So we're doing all we can to prevent the spread of the virus, and then asking the student athletes to do all the things that we've learned to do, right? Wash your hands, wear a mask, do everything you're supposed to do, stay away from places where there's large groups in order to prevent the virus from coming in the first place. So in order to play, I mean, it takes that coordinated effort, but it starts with good behaviors and continues with testing.
So to follow up on that, yesterday Will Muschamp was talking about the SEC testing 3 times, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, I believe, were the dates. Is three too much? What's twice a week? What's the right amount to really get an accurate picture of the health and make sure that there's not a positive player going in on a football game?
We did twice a week from the beginning with this thought in mind, and it was a football-centric thought, but if we tested on Wednesday or Thursday so that when we got it to the plane on Friday to go to the game, we knew everybody that got on that plane had a negative result. We play the game, we come back, on Monday we test again. We know then coming out were there any new positives that came out of the travel or out of the interaction of the game. And that's the Monday, Thursday routine that we thought we were going to be in. The NCAA's protocols, obviously best practice changes by the day. The NCAA protocols call for once a week testing. We're going to continue with twice. You know, it sounds real easy to say 3 is better than 2 and 7 is better than 6. I don't know about the medical piece to that. That gets a little outside of my bailiwick. But you know, the sports that have truly been able to bubble are testing on a daily basis. You know, I think football is going to look a lot like Major League Baseball, where we're not really bubbled. We're bubbled now, but you know, once the season starts, once campuses are repopulated, we really won't be bubbled anymore. So I think what we're going to learn about whether 2 or 3 or more or less is warranted here in the next couple of weeks.
Hey Willie, I asked Troy about the significance of that Easter game. Have you talked to the kids? Are they excited that they know that there's a game on the horizon after all this pandemic and them